pot, some of them were about 2 inches on the top of the pot. So I made 2 rows of 12 that were virtually identical as I could. And I just dusted a little bit of this vulcanite over the top of 1 row. 2 weeks later, the smallest member of the treated was as big as the largest member of the untreated. Now, we had a decent spring that year from moisture, all that other stuff. Anybody out here familiar with a wildflower called standing cypress? Dave? Don't count. Anyway, beautiful wildflower, grows as a biennial, grows very straight upright, typically about 3 to 4 feet tall in a good year. My standing cypress that year averaged 5, many 6 to 7 feet tall. My Maximilian sunflower, I had 1 big Maximilian sunflower in my garden. I don't know why, but I did. Which would normally get 6 to 8 feet, got 14 feet. I measured the stalks that year. Everything got huge. As I told Malcolm, I put 2 bags into my mattress. Cool stuff. Look into the rock powders. They're very, very, very cool. And incorporating them in, very, very long shelf life to them. They're very expensive, add a little bit all the time. Rock phosphate. When you plant something, when you dig the hole, you incorporate a generous quantity of rock phosphate. It produces root and bloom as a phosphorus source. More or less, it's a calcium source. Bone structure. Big, strong, healthy plants, a lot less diseases. Rock phosphate. Single most important thing that you will add at planting time is rock phosphate. Again, I've done side-by-side tests. It's cheap. You can buy a big cement bag of it for about 20 bucks. I got to a point that I was using it on my water lilies. Everything I planted got a generous dose of rock phosphate. And again, with and without. Last time I did squash plants. I like little patty pan squash. And I will buy the 4 different colors of patty pan. I'll throw them all into a little bag and I'll shake them up. And I'll plant those in little hills. Well, I was planting 17, 18 hills in these little patty pans. So when I got down to the last 6, I was getting a little punchy. Because I've been at it for a while. And there was the last 6 in a row, I said, aha, side-by-side test of rock phosphate. 1 hill with, without. So, sure enough, from the top of the mounds, this is the top of the mound, you had with, without. I mean, leaf. Sour apple green, emerald green. Sour apple green. I mean, beautiful. Did I take a picture? No. But again, and even to this day, because I've got a little bit, I've got kind of a large garden space, I would still play with, I still like doing side-by-side tests with rock phosphate, with anything. Mycorrhizal fungi is kind of the newest thing you'll hear us talking about. I love mycorrhizal fungi. Real quick, expands the root zone of a plant 1,000-fold, okay, 10,000-fold, like that. Boom, blows up the roots. Very cool stuff.
Say that name slowly.
MYC, period. Fungi, F-U-N-G-I. Any good garden center will take it from there. The family of fertilizer called Espoma, which comes out of the Northeast now, that some of the better nursery places carry, they all incorporate these new bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi in their fertilizers. There you go, guys. So I like their stuff. So you should use that product, so that you can get it with it.
Do you use that when you're planting?
When you plant, and also now, we're at this point now that Dr. Amaranthius has found a way to quote unquote put these little guys to sleep. So that way the spores don't germinate instantly. So now you can do it as a topical and it will water into the soil and still make root contact. That's why, if you're buying the Gardenville brand of mycorrhizal fungi, still good stuff, that is something that you can put at the bottom of the hole and make direct root contact with. And especially anything long-lived, anything wooded, definitely it's worth its weight in gold. If you've ever noticed how the highway department plants these trees in the medians, waters them once, walks away, and they still live, can you imagine if it was in your backyard and you're actually taking care of it? Mycorrhizal fungi. Take that same principle, put it on a tomato plant, put it on a pepper plant. Don't put it on a Brussels sprout. Wrong. Actually, it doesn't work on that family, thankfully. So soil preparation, compost. If you've ever gardened in a container, you notice that the soil drops over time. The whole thing just sinks. The soil doesn't pull away from the root. The plant doesn't stay in place. The whole thing drops over time. What's happening is you're losing organic material. You're losing organic content. The raw stuff that makes the soil, the perlite, the vermiculite, peat moss, things like that kind of stay in situ. The other raw organic material is what's breaking down and going away. So in a container, we have to be very diligent about continuing to add compost. About once a month, go through and keep throwing a couple handfuls of compost over the surface as a mulch, keep that soil from settling, because you're working the organic material from the top. Same basic thing we're doing in our gardens. We want a lot of organic material in the soil. So compost. You'll buy a good blended soil that has a lot of compost in it. You don't have to till compost in, just put it on top. The earthworms will take it from there. Mother Nature will do her job. She will break it down. It'll turn into humic acids and it'll soften that soil. Acidity versus alkalinity. Again, we're talking about percentages. So we can buffer. Like I said, everything we have here, our air is alkaline. So anything we can do to add quote-unquote acidity or to add a zero, if you put out something that's neutral into our soil, as it breaks down and decomposes, it buffers. And so it's releasing, so as organic materials break down and decompose, they release humic acids, which help to buffer out the alkalinity of our soil. So compost, compost, compost. Good hardwood mulches, anything like that are fantastic. So as far as bed preparation, again, that's where you want to spend the most amount of time. And just about every time, as Mel will teach you, every time you change your crop, you add compost. So if you're doing lettuce, which is a 45-day crop, 45, 60 days, every 2 months, you're taking a lettuce head out, you're putting a couple handfuls of compost back. Whenever you take something out, if you're doing something that's a 6 or 8 month crop, possibly like a tomato, okay, how much compost are we putting back in? About a wheelbarrow full. That's mine. So you put back that which comes out, so to speak. It goes a different way, but that's what we're trying to achieve. In my gardens now, like I said, I started off hard clay soil, put about 6 to 8 inches of material on top of it, and every year that I work the garden, I add 3 inches of compost. Everybody know what a sharpshooter shovel is? Long, narrow shovel? I can go up there and just sink a sharpshooter through my beds. Very little work. I don't till. I'm lazy. Put my seeds in, cover them up, water them in, bing, let them go. Let the earthworms, let the roots of the plants loosen that soil down below for me. One of the funnest things about this, like I said, I do about 9,000 tomato plants, is starting things from your own seed. I applaud Mr. Will for bringing us one of my favorite seed companies, Johnny's here. I think it's bigger and thicker every year. I love a good seed catalog. Johnny's, another one of my favorites is Baker Creek, rareseeds.com. I love those folks. There's so many cool vegetables out there, and we're losing a lot of them to Monsanto in the hybridization process. So you can grow your own vegetable. Malcolm Beck's okra, where he took an okra plant and he collecting the best, the healthiest pods, the healthiest seed source from the best okras. He kept growing year after year after year after year in the same spot. What happened? He now has okra plants that are 15, 16 feet tall, okay, 14 feet, and with pods this big, they're still as tender as the day they were born.